Greetings. I am Graham from I Know a Little. Today we're going to make some salsa. A friend of mine from church gave me all of these tomatoes. First thing we do is fill up the pot here. I've been putting the tomatoes in. We're going to get the skins off. So I usually make sure the thing's out of the top. This is the thing I speak of. We'll do this to all the tomatoes and we'll put them on the stove and let them boil, and then the peeling will come straight off. While my tomatoes are being scalded so I can take off the peeling, I'm putting water in my water bath canner. This is the one I use. It holds 7 quarts or 9 pints. I go ahead and get this water warm so my jars are being warmed up at the same time, because the salsa is going to be hot and you got to put hot in hot, because if you put hot in cold jars, they'll burst. It doesn't take long for the peeling to start coming away from the tomatoes, you can see. So all you got to do is bring the water up to scalding. It doesn't really have to boil, and you'll just pinch, and I'll show you in a minute how that skin just comes right off. I transferred some of the tomatoes over so you can see. Now this will be hot, so I'm going to run a little bit of cold water. But you can see the peeling comes right off. It's hot. This is a hot process, but after you run some cold water in there, it cools off a little bit. And then you just peel the peeling off. I leave it in the water. Some of it, if it don't want to come off, you can cut it off. But this makes the process a lot quicker. All my tomatoes have now been peeled, so now I'm just going to cut the top off. Well, I'll just cube it. If I were doing a bunch of canning today, like numerous jars, I would probably do this in a food processor, but since it's only a few things and we like our salsa chunky, I'm going to cut it instead of pulverizing it like a lot of people do. And all of my ingredients are going to just be cut up by hand because it's not that much. The tomatoes are all cut up. I like it chunky, like I said. It's not as much as you would think after that pile of tomatoes we had. Once you take off the skin and a lot of the seeds, you're not left with a lot of meat. I'm gonna chop up 2 Vidalia onions and a bell pepper. All right, there's the bell pepper. Only did 1 onion. I'm going to put it in the mix to see if I want to add a second one. It does look like a good proportion with just 1 of the onion instead of 2. Now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of garlic, 3 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of cilantro, and 1 cup of cider vinegar. We're going to bring this up to a boil. Then we're going to drop the heat down and simmer for 10 minutes. In the meantime, I have my jars in my water bath canner, and they are steamy. They are ready to go and be loaded. It's been 10 minutes. My salsa is already cooked. So now I'm going to get my jars out. This is very hot, so be very careful. But we're ready to jar up some salsa. That smells so good. So now we're going to ladle them. I have a little funnel here. We're going to ladle them into the jar. It's my magnet lid thing. We're going to ladle them into the jar, leaving a 1/2 inch headspace. All right, I ladled them. I left a 1/2 inch headspace. I had enough for 4 pints, almost a 5th one, but this one's going to be with supper tonight. You always want to check your lids. I mean, the top of your jars for cracks or anything that will keep them from sealing. I did that after I washed them, but I forgot to tell you. And then now I've just got some vinegar, white distilled vinegar on a paper towel, and I'm just going to go around the top and make sure that lid is nice and clean. And then I'm going to get one of my lids out and just kind of sit it on there. And I got a ring. Now with the rings, you just want to kind of put them on there and just finger tight them. Don't just clamp them down. That can be a disaster. So I'm going to lid up the rest of these and then put them in the canner. You want to make sure the water is an inch over the jars. Mine isn't, so I'm adding to it. Okay, that looks good. We're going to put the lid on it. The water is getting very steamy. Now we listen for the boil. See it boiling. Going to set our timer. 20 minutes. Just as I thought. Now you don't want it boiling that crazy, so I'm going to back off my heat or my fire. Just till I hear it stay a boil. And then I'll check it again. See, it's still boiling pretty rapidly, but that's better than the way it was. So I'm going to go down to about 4. Timer went off. We're going to cut the fire off, and we're going to let them stay in the container. The jars stay in the canner for 5 minutes. 5-minute timer has went off. A lot of steam. Just remember, this is hot. We're going to get them out with our little tongs. Would put them apart like that right there, and I wouldn't touch them for like 12 hours if possible. You'll start hearing them pop, and that's just the lid sealing, and that's what we want. That cucumber that was laying on the table with the tomatoes at the very beginning got cut up and put in some salt and vinegar water with some onion. It looks like that because I had to use apple cider vinegar. This was a staple on our table in the summer when the garden started coming on. It was always on the table for supper as one of our vegetables, and it is yummy. Thank you for joining me as we made salsa today. Some people call it canning, some people call it preserving. All I know is where I grew up, my grandma and my sweet aunts always called it, I put up 5 pints of salsa today. Please be a blessing to others. I wish nothing but blessings over your life. And as always, remember, I don't know it all, but I know a little.